wake David Muthoka nilivyokueleza, ambaye yuko katikati ya jiji kuhusiana na swala zima la hisia ama yale ambayo yanajitokeza kufuatia mswada wa fedha mwaka 2024. Kwa sasa nataka nikurejeshe hadi katika jumba la mikutano la KICC, ambapo kuna ile warsha maalum ya mashirika yasiyo ya kiserikali, ukipenda NGOs. Kumbuka wiki hii wanaadhimisha wiki yao, wanaangalia yale ambayo wamefikia kufikia sasa na utendakazi wao, na vile vile wakizindua ripoti yao ya mwaka 2022-2023. Tuelekee pale.
To the audience, you must put all the sounds together, the soprano, the alto, the bass, so that your music is appealing. So when we are talking of synergy, when we are talking of excellence in the sector, which we can achieve, and so far we are on the right track, we need to synergize. I was actually approached by one of the organizations, which I don't want to mention, and they were telling me they wanted to do some work in Kitui, and they realized that there is no more space for that kind of engagement. You know, when we synergize, we're just like hands. We're just like our legs. We support each other so that today when you're in front, tomorrow another person will be in front. So we want to appreciate you partners for the great work you've been doing in this country. Sustainability, it's not a destination. It's a journey. We must, all of us, work towards that journey. So it's my great honor for me not only to participate for the first time in this NGO week, but also having had opportunity to oversee the preparation in my capacity as the chair of the PPO Regulatory Authority. I thank the authority management and the staff for organizing this event, which is quite successful. I have seen people traveled from upcountry to be here. But my appeal is that next time, we should organize in a way that we are fairly in every county. Because looking at the records, we have actually organization, NGOs operating almost in every village. So when we will be talking of an NGO week, we want our chief guest that next time is not just Nairobi alone. We want to be felt on the ground. And that is actually the spirit of devolved governance. That is it. I also thank the NGO Week 2024 partners, as well as for supporting the event and their active participation in preparation. I'm well informed that PPOs such as World Vision, Shining Hope and Communities, SHAFCO, Action Against Hunger, Compassion International, who invited me to have a courtesy call in their offices, Christian Climate Mission, Kenya Good Neighbors, I've also interacted with them, and many others who have not been maybe mentioned, but I'm sure my DG was able to mention quite a number of you. We want to appreciate you for the wonderful job that you've done to make this an event a success. Our chief guest, the week is an annual forum in which we honor and appreciate the PPO for the wonderful job they're doing in support for the needy, vulnerable in our communities. And you understand there are quite a number. We are therefore gathered here for the whole week to celebrate success, stories, and sector, including their role in complementing what the government is doing in the matters of development. I have interacted, as I said, with quite a number of few organizations in the course of last month, partly last year when I was appointed for the period I've been in the office. And I can assure you, our chief guest, this organization have proved to be dependable, frontline partners of government on all matters, especially when it comes to the government plan. So we are here to provide a conducive environment to ensure that they achieve what they have planned to achieve in their respective organization. Chief guest, just before I finalize my remarks, I've been thinking so loud, and since our partners, some of them we may share faith, Allow me to just say this, because most of you are dealing with the vulnerable. There is a question that was posed by one of the legal minds of the days during the days of Jesus Christ. And that legal professional asked Jesus 2 questions. Number 1, what can I do so that I inherit the kingdom of God? And then the second question was, after Jesus responding on what he's supposed to do, the second question was, who is my neighbor? And it's actually written in the book of Luke, chapter, I think, 10, verse 29 through 37. And then I want to focus on the second response, because Jesus responded with a proverb or a parable. And he said there was a man walking from Jerusalem to Jericho. And along the way he was attacked and left almost to a point of death. And the priest passed by. He could not approach the man who was bleeding. And he was late, I think, for the service, so he left. And then the next person was a Levite. A Levite, those who are scholars, I can call them professionals. And we all have different background of professionals seated here. So the professionals and the helper of a priest equally said, my boss has already left. I have no business with this person who is bleeding. So he equally left. And there were men. Apparently there was no lady. And ladies, probably you could have done a better job. Can you appreciate the ladies in the house? And then the last person, they are not mentioned by names, but when you read the original version, it indicates that they were men. So the last person was a good Samaritan. And the good Samaritan looked at the bleeding man, bandaged him, took him to a place for treatment, and left some cash. And also the conduct, the promise that if you have anything that you need from me, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Chief guest, who is your neighbor? That is the question. These people are dealing with neighbors. Who is the neighbor to this suffering child? World Vision, I want to appreciate you that we have so many children who are crying outside there. Be the neighbor to our children. Believe me, you be our neighbor to our crying children. If you have traveled around this country, around the continent, you will imagine why these children were born to suffer. Be a neighbor to that person, woman, a vulnerable woman, a vulnerable man in the village who is suffering. People have no meal, not even the first meal, not the second meal, not the third meal. As some of you, or some people, are throwing the same to the dustbin. And you ask yourself, why? Who is the neighbor to those kind of women, those kind of men suffering? We have people in the society with terminal illness. You don't have to bleed people to see your blood. But believe me, people in their hearts, they are bleeding. Even in this house, we have people who have been invited, but they're bleeding. They will reach out to you for transport. That is the reality of our society. So ask your neighbor, who is your neighbor? Ask your neighbor, who is your neighbor? And as I just bring you to that kind of conversation within yourself, as you do an introspection of what you're doing because you're in that space. Our chief guest, my team and I, we are prepared to ensure that we implement the law that the president promised during campaigns. And he said it will be his responsibility to ensure that the law is operationalized. And today we sit here, and the PS was here last year. I talked to him, I talked to the CS. They gave me the same assurance. We are here to celebrate that. My appeal is this, and at times we have actually hindrance whenever we have quite good laws, but how to operationalize them and achieve the intended purpose is where the challenge is. I want to appreciate UNDP. We was actually supported. We had a retreat as the board and the management, sometimes I think a couple of weeks in Naivasha, and we agreed that we are going to come up with an ad hoc transition committee that will involve the board, the management, and the stakeholders. And none of you is going to be left out. There is goodwill from the government. There is goodwill from us here on behalf of the government. And I believe this is your baby. There is goodwill from your end. There are issues, of course, that peers on behalf of the government pointed out when we were with him that needs maybe to be looked into. But that should not be the stoppage for us to achieve what the Lord intended. So we are making that commitment where I sit as the board chair and my directors and the management to give you conducive environment to ensure that we achieve the goal. Last but not least, I want to point out something very simple, that we have 12,000 plus registered organizations, NGO, now the PPO's organization, 12,000. What comes in your mind that we already receive less than 3,000, 2,000 plus report on when it comes to compliance? Who are these? Are you among the 2,000 or are you among the rest who are not compliant? And these new regulations, I think because you are the people who developed the guidelines, will assist us to deal with those foxes that are spoiling these sectors. Because now, at the end of the day, we will need you to re-register, see what you're doing, understand. We are not trying to coerce you. We're just saying be fair. Human beings have their limitations, and that is where you need. Where I sit, I have also a person who checks what I'm doing. And I like what the organizations, Bwana Chief Guest, most of them who are here, they say, I had to ensure that I come with my colleague to ensure that I am here, and actually what was promised or what we've given to the function is well utilized. That is all we need. This country, not only in the public sector, including the private, including in the NGO, the problem we have is transparent and accountability. And this will provide extensive legal framework of transparency and accountability. That is all we need. An organization, if you are running an organization where you are a CEO, maybe your relative is a corporation secretary, maybe the board directors are your brothers and sisters,